Hey there, welcome back to Marketing Matchmaker. I know today's episode is going to be something that you're all going to want to lean into, even if you don't necessarily want to lean into it, because it's something that every business owner really does need to know. Today we have Tanya Akimenko on. She is a small business finance expert, and we're going to talk all things finances around your business. Tanya, tell everybody who you are, what you do, and who you serve.
Jennifer, thanks for having me here. So, I'm actually a tax accountant that focuses on small businesses. With the tax accounting also comes the accounting aspect of it as well. I'm a IRS enrolled agent, so that just really means I'm nationwide and can help anyone, not just to a particular state. So we have customers all over the US, but my office is located in Jacksonville, Florida, and a second office in Spartanburg, South Carolina. And I was
Awesome. Fantastic. I am super excited about this topic because one of the things that you have created is a DIY business success program. And I really want to help my audience really understand their finances. So let's start with what is the most important thing that a business owner needs to know when it comes to their finances around their business?
Actually, the most important thing is just simple, is to know their finances. And you won't know them unless you're tracking them. And a lot of times business owners are so focused on sales and even marketing you to get that money in the door that they forget to how much is this really costing me, the whole return on investment part situations.
Yeah, I agree with that so much. And I know I've fallen into that trap, right? Like when I first started my business, I had no idea about cash flow and I had no idea about like how my finances were really like what was profitable. Like I had in my brain that XYZ service was profitable and it really was not. So I think it's so important that if people start looking at their finances, um, because it is so critical to running their business. So, what are some common mistakes that business owners make as they're jumping into, especially budgeting around marketing or just their finances in general?
So I would say the most common one is obviously not knowing their numbers, but also like percentage wise. Like I make so much money, this much money, but how much should I be spending on marketing? Like it's 20%, but it's all reality. Of it is that you need goals. Like what is your goal? And once you set your goal, then you can work backwards and be like, okay, so my goal is like to bring X amount of customers in, and what is it, the reverse engineering backwards going to it, and then how much money am I going to make from those new customers, and then what is going to be my budget afterwards. So the most like common mistakes is not really setting financial goals.
Agree. Honestly, I think that's the biggest mistake people make in business in general is that they don't work backwards from their goals, whether it's finances or marketing, y'all. I've said this over and over and over. You have to have an end goal to understand how you're going to get there. But then working backwards will help you really understand what's working and what's not in your business.
Yeah, that's so true.
So tell me, what is your favorite thing about your business, about working with entrepreneurs and getting them kind of up and running in their finances?
I've been doing this for almost 20 years. And honestly, like every business owner has that moment of click financial clarity. Like they'd be coming to me, they started their business, they're talking about their business, they're excited and then they're worn out because, entrepreneurial journey is a roller coaster,
Before.
and then all of a sudden, like I'm explaining finances and then explaining it again and things like that. But they like almost every business owner has that financial clarity click and they're like, oh, they connect the dots and they're like, oh, okay, so this is how it works. So that's literally like my favorite part is when they actually get to that clarity.
I love that. What have you seen with some of your clients? I mean, I know I have people in my audience of different stages in business, but let's start about the ones that are like just starting out. What is it that they need to do first? Like other than knowing your numbers, like what are the things that they have to have in order to really successfully grow your business?
Well, if you listen to pretty much any business guru and things like that, what you need is a process, especially in the beginning. If you set up a process, like going back to accounting, like I'm going to dedicate every Wednesday morning 30 minutes to do accounting, right? So that becomes a process, it becomes a habit, and it's so much easier to just continue versus I'll do it later, I'll do it later. And that goes to anything really, to your whatever you're creating or marketing, whatever you're working on. I would say from the very beginning, you need to set up processes. And that's like what I learned in my own business. I'm always like catching up on processes. I'm always working on processes versus like before I even start this, what is my process going to look like? What are the steps? Because then eventually you're going to grow. It's not always going to be a one-man show. You're going to get an assistant and stuff like that. And I got to tell you, like, versus when I hired my first employee, where there was no processes, it was all in my mind. There was no training, any sort, videos or anything, versus like a few years down the line, when I did start creating videos or like when I did have an employee, I'm like, let me record this training for future. It's just so amazing. Like now, my new employees that come on board, they literally spend 2 weeks just watching all my previous videos, and that like frees up my time. And once they have a baseline of the processes and things like that, the training is so much easier. But if you start with that mindset, I have to have a process for everything, it's going to be much easier to continue.
I love that. I love that so much because I think marketing is often a process, right? If you do it well, there is a specific process and end goal, and working back from that is so helpful. So tell me about your DIY business success program. What is it? Like, how is it? How do people access it?
Yeah. So I actually recently created my DIY program because, like I said, I've been doing this for a while, and there's a lot of customers out there who cannot afford an accountant, and we just simply, accountants can't simply just work for free. I mean, like Bench went out of business because they were offering such low prices. So I really saw that there's a true need for business owners who can't afford a consultation with an accountant, that need help because they have those questions, and you go to the internet and it will literally tell you all these things and you're like, what, this doesn't make sense. Or like, god forbid, you get on TikTok or Instagram and start watching all these reels. There's so much misinformation out there. But so I wanted something to help business owners that's a really affordable price, that they can basically have some trainings. There's a spreadsheet in there, just super easy, super simple to do to track your expenses. And then also there's consultations with me once a month. And I want all questions submitted from all various business owners that I answer, because sometimes you're a business owner and you're like, I don't even know what to ask an accountant. And
Right?
then, so then you're sitting there and you're like, listen, because I've done a few of these like small group consultations, where somebody calls and can't afford it. So I do multiple people at the same time. And they're like, found it really helpful because like, I didn't even think of this question. And then when it comes to industry and things like that, accounting is pretty much universal. So like one question will really apply to you as well.
That's awesome. So I'm curious, what are some of those questions that people don't even know to ask?
Honestly, the biggest one is like, what's a business expense? Like, I am shocked how many people don't realize it's a business expense most of our time. So, like, when I hire people, obviously, I have, more than just me and my agency that we do tax preparation. We literally spend time educating our customers, looking forward. Sometimes we have to pull those expenses out, and they're like, oh, I don't have any business expenses. And I'm like, you have a business, you have business expenses.
Right?
Like
Yeah.
the pen you came in with and taking notes, that's your business business expense right there.
Yeah,
And some people are just like, what? Wow. So they don't even realize a lot of time when you start and you're so scared, like, oh, the IRS is going to come after me. That's
right.
another thing. They're like, I don't want to write off too much because the IRS is going to come after me. I don't want to go to jail. But the reality is, like, if you track it and if it's a true business expense, the IRS will approve it. Like, I've been in enough audits to know what's available, what's not. What the IRS really will go after what they want. Again, so much misinformation out.
I love the fact that you have this education point because I think that's one of the biggest fears of a lot of business owners when they're starting business or even when they're midway through, right? Like maybe they didn't set their books up right, or maybe they didn't, whatever. But having somewhere to go where you can actually ask questions and also know from the start how to do this the right way is so, so important to people. For those people out there that really are just, they don't know what questions to ask, how do they get a hold of you?
So they would just go to my website, goldenappleagencyinc.com. And actually, I am offering a freebie right now to help people understand what is tax deductible and what is truly not. So I did create a cheat sheets, and you can just go directly to that link, goldenappleagencyinc.com/cheat sheet, and you'll be able to download it. It gives a lot of information, easy to understand. I do use languages that people understand. You don't have to have an accounting degree because a lot of my customers are like, you know what? I actually understand you, and I understand that you don't understand accounting terms. So I'm trying to tell you how you understand it.
Yeah.
So that's what I really focus on as well whenever I talk to my clients. But yeah, it's a really good freebie. You will be able to understand and not be so scared of the IRS.
Perfect, perfect. Yes, I totally get that. That's what I do on Marketing Matchmaker too, is just break down these concepts that people don't understand in a language that they can understand. So I so appreciate that point of view. So for those of you out there that are interested or questioning your finances or just don't even know where to start, head over to that link. I will have it in the show notes and connect with Tanya. She can definitely help you at least get started so that your finances are not scary and you're able to really, get things in line so that your taxes as well as your business is able to grow. Um, for those of you out there that aren't sure what to do first or next with your marketing, maybe you're struggling with growing or scaling your business, head over to yourmarketingmatchmaker.com and schedule a free strategy session. I promise you will walk away with at least one actionable item that will help you grow your business, increase your revenue, and scale your impact. Until next time, Tanya, thank you so much for joining me today. And
Thank
to
you for having
everyone,
me.
and for everyone else, make sure that you know your numbers, whether they are your finances or they are your marketing numbers. Both are critical to growing. Thank you for listening to the Marketing Matchmaker podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, I would love to hear your feedback. Please head over to Apple, iTunes, and leave a review so we can hear from you. And if you are a coach, consultant, or online course creator who are looking to grow your business, increase your income, and scale your impact, connect with me at yourmarketingmatchmaker.com. I look forward to hearing from you.